All right, everyone, welcome back to RJK English, and we're continuing with Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. Chapter 3. He is going to now meet the Buddha, so this will be quite interesting. Okay, let's start on Chapter 3, Gautama. In the town of Savatthi, every child knew the name of the illustrious Buddha, and every house was ready to fill the alms bowls of Gautama's silently begging disciples. So let's look at this first sentence just to start off. Illustrious, what does this mean? It means famous, known for someone's really great accomplishments. This is what illustrious in general means. And the Buddha in this book, he is already illustrious. In the town of Savatthi, it's setting the scene, it's in this town. Every child knew the name of the illustrious Buddha. Why do you think it says every child? I think what it means is even the children know. He's trying to use as little language as possible. And not only the adults heard, but even the children knew the name of the Buddha. So he was very famous already. Every house was ready to fill the alms bowls of the Gautama's silently begging disciples. Alms bowls would be when they would go around begging for food, and people would fill it with either food or money or something like this. So just as the samanas went around and did this, the Buddha's disciples were doing this as well. Notice the adjectives here. Adverb silently, silently begging is an adjective of disciples. The disciples are silently begging, so they're just standing there like this, but they're not asking for anything. Okay? So this is how it's being used. In the town of Savatthi, every child knew the name of the illustrious Buddha, and every house was ready to fill the alms bowls of Gautama's silently begging disciples. Near the town was Gautama's favorite abode. Abode is a place of rest or a place you're staying. The Jetavana Grove, which the rich merchant Anathapindika, a great devotee of the illustrious one, had presented to him and his followers. A devotee is someone that follows another person. And here we see what the Gautama is going to be called throughout this whole chapter, the illustrious one, the famous one, the one who achieved enlightenment. He did what no one else has done. So Gautama is staying in the Jetavana Grove, where the rich merchant Anathapindika had given him the grove. Anathapindika had given him this grove to use. And in the Bible, Jesus also has this happen, where a rich person gives him various things to help out. Okay, the two young ascetics, in their search for Gautama's abode, this is Siddhartha and Govinda, had been referred to this district by tales and answers to their questions. And on their arrival in Savatthi, food was offered to them immediately at the first house in front of whose door they stood silently begging. They partook of food, and Siddhartha asked the lady who handed him the food. So he's going to ask her. So let's look at this again. They're referred, like I would refer you to a job by giving you my name to give to that job. Here's a job you can try out, give them my name when you arrive. And they're referred to that district where the Gautama is by tales, which are stories, and also answers to their questions. They have asked, where can I find him? And people told them. On their arrival, food was given to them at the first place where they stood silently begging. So people are being very giving in this area. And as they partook of food, this means as they're eating the food, Siddhartha asked the lady who handed him the food, "Good lady, we should very much like to know where the Buddha, the illustrious one, dwells. and we are two samanas, for we are two samanas from the forest and have come to see the perfect one and hear his teachings from his own lips. When we have proper names, we capitalize the first letter, the perfect one. They're using this as the name of the Buddha. Hearing teachings from someone's own lips, hearing it from their own mouth, means hearing it directly from them. The woman said, "You have come to the right place, O Samanas from the forest. The illustrious one sojourns in Jetavana, in the garden of Anathapindika." Sojourn, let's see what sojourn means. Sojourn. A temporary stay. So he's staying temporarily in that area. "You might spend the night there, pilgrims, for there is enough room for the numerous people who flock here to hear the teachings from his lips." Here we can see two words that sound the same but are different. Here to hear. They flock to this place like birds. Birds are in a flock. They come to this place in order to hear the teachings from the lips of the Buddha. Then Govinda rejoiced and happily said, "Ah, then we have reached our goal, and our journey is at an end. But tell us, mother of pilgrims, do you know the Buddha? Have you seen him with your own eyes?" The woman said, "I have seen the illustrious one many times. On many a day, I have seen him walk through the streets silently in a yellow cloak, and silently hold out his alms bowl at the house doors, and return with his bowl filled." They're speaking very formally in this. Govinda listened enchanted and wanted to ask many more questions and hear much more, but Siddhartha reminded him that it was time to go. They expressed their thanks and departed. It was hardly necessary to inquire the way, for quite a number of pilgrims and monks from Gautama's followers were on the way to Jetavana. They didn't even need to really ask the way, they just followed people. When they arrived there at night, there were continual new arrivals. There was a stir of voices from them, requesting and obtaining shelter. The two samanas, who were used to life in the forest, quickly and quietly found shelter and stayed there till morning. Used to life. Used to life. This means accustomed to. If they used life, they would be using life as a verb, using life like you use a pencil or use a car. But they're used to life, which means they are accustomed to life in the forest. The two samanas who were used to life in the forest, accustomed to it, quickly and quietly found shelter and stayed there till morning. At sunrise, they were astounded to see the large number of believers and curious people who had spent the night there. What is a believer? A believer is someone that believes that what someone else is saying is true. If someone believes in Christianity, they are a believer in Christianity. Someone believes in Islam, they are a believer in Islam. Here they are a believer in the Buddha. Monks in yellow robes wandered along the paths of the magnificent grove. A grove is where there are fruit trees. Here and there they sat under trees, lost in meditation or engaged in spirited talk. The shady gardens were like a town swarming with bees. So this is a visual. The town is like a beehive where bees are going in and out. Well, the people are going in and out like this, like a beehive. Most of the monks departed with their alms bowls in order to obtain food for their midday meal, the only one of the day. So they only ate at lunch. They didn't eat the rest of the time. Even the Buddha himself went begging in the morning. Siddhartha saw him and recognized him immediately, as if pointed out to him by a god. He recognized the Gautama. He saw him bearing an alms bowl, quietly leaving the place. An unassuming man in a yellow cowl. Cowl is like cloak. He was unassuming. This means that nothing about him, he wasn't dressed specially. Let's look up unassuming. This is very good to get used to looking things up. put it into Google here. Modest, not pretentious. So he's a modest person, unassuming. Look, said Siddhartha softly to Govinda. There is the Buddha. He recognized him right away. Govinda looked attentively at the monk in the yellow cowl, who could now be distinguished in now be distinguished in any way from the hundreds of other monks who could not. I mistyped this. Who could not be distinguished in any way from the hundreds of other monks, and yet Govinda soon recognized him. So the Buddha is dressed just like the other monks, but Siddhartha noticed him right away. Govinda slowly recognized him. Yet it was he, and they followed him and watched him. The Buddha went quietly on his way, lost in thought. Why do I say Buddha? Because the name comes from Sanskrit, or we could say Hindi, because in Hindi it looks like this. Oh, sorry, one moment. That's Urdu. Hindi. Buddha. Buddha. So in Hindi they have these D's with an H at the end. Buddha. Buddha. So that's why I keep saying it like that. Also Siddhartha. Siddhartha. So the Buddha went quietly on his way, lost in thought. His peaceful countenance was neither happy nor sad. He seemed to be smiling gently inwardly. Can you picture that? He looked like he was smiling inside of himself. Have you ever seen someone who is so calm and serene that they almost look like they're smiling even though they don't have a facial expression? So we're going to hear the Gautama described in many different ways here to try to show what does it look like when someone is perfect, when they have achieved what no one else has achieved, which is oneness with Brahman, oneness with Atman. What does this person look like? Have you ever met someone like this? I doubt it, but maybe you've met someone that's similar. You know, someone that's older that knows a lot. Okay, so we'll go through this, then we'll stop. We'll go to the next video. We'll continue. Okay, so the Buddha went quietly on his way, lost in thought. His peaceful countenance. Countenance is like the way he looks. His face was neither happy nor sad. He seemed to be smiling gently, inwardly, with a secret smile, not unlike that of a healthy child. He walked along peacefully, quietly. So now he's being compared to a child, childlike, innocent. He wore his gown and walked along exactly like the other monks, but his face and his step, his peaceful downward glance, his peaceful downward hanging hand, and every finger of his hand. Oops. Sorry, one moment. Hand spoke of peace, spoke of completeness, sought nothing. His hand, it spoke of not seeking anything, imitated nothing. It reflected a continuous quiet, an unfading light, a light that doesn't go away, and an invulnerable peace, a peace that can't be destroyed by anything. A perfect person. Who has peace that can't be destroyed? I don't know anyone like that. Okay, so this has described the Buddha. We will start on the next video and go a little bit further. Make sure to like and subscribe. Hit me up, comment, or hit me up on Facebook at RJK English if you have any questions and I can explain. And make sure to hit the bell icon to get more videos. I'll see you next time.